BingX, a trusted global crypto exchange. Trade spot, futures, or copy top traders easily. Sign up via the link or referral code to get 30 USDT instantly, plus up to 1,500 USDT in bonuses for verification, deposit, and trading.
The Australian political landscape is abuzz with a brewing legislative battle as the coalition signals its intent to dismantle proposed environmental reforms, pushing for a parliamentary showdown over the future of nature protection laws. Opposition leader Sussan Ley has put forth what she describes as a constructive proposal to Prime Minister Anthony Albanese ahead of the federal parliament's return on Monday. The core of this proposal involves splitting the Comprehensive Overhaul of the Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act, EPBC Act, into two distinct legislative packages. The coalition's priority is to fast-track measures aimed at expediting project approvals, a move they argue will stimulate economic activity. However, this strategic maneuver is widely seen as a means to further postpone or dilute the more contentious elements of nature protection, potentially delaying vital safeguards for Australia's unique biodiversity. The new nature laws, expected to be formally introduced this week, face an uphill battle for swift passage. Hopes of securing parliamentary assent before the Christmas break appear increasingly slim, with both the coalition and the Greens having already declared their opposition to the current draft unless significant concessions are made. The coalition contends that the proposed legislation is inherently anti-business, posing an impediment to investment and growth. Conversely, the Greens hold an opposing view, accusing Environment Minister Murray Watt of crafting changes that bear the unmistakable imprint of big business and the mining companies. Ley, who previously characterized the draft laws as a handbrake on investment, has indicated the coalition's willingness to collaborate with the Labour government on achieving meaningful reform that balances economic interests with environmental imperatives. The crux of Ley's offer to Prime Minister Albanese is the division of the bill. The coalition advocates for prioritizing the immediate passage of practical measures designed to accelerate environmental assessment timelines for development projects. Meanwhile, the more contentious environmental elements of the bill would be relegated to the back burner, their fate uncertain. In a letter to Albanese, Ley and Shadow Environment Minister Angie Bell articulated this position, emphasizing that the government has itself acknowledged that streamlining environmental approvals is essential to lifting waning productivity and encouraging investment, including in the critical minerals sector. They further argued that the current draft reforms risk introducing further complexity and uncertainty, creating a handbrake on investment without delivering commensurate environmental gains. While the letter stops short of detailing the coalition's specific objections, Liberal sources have identified concerns regarding the vague tests within the assessment process, including the proposed definition of unacceptable impacts on the environment. Additionally, the potential for significant fines, up to $825 million for breaches of nature laws, and the stringent emissions reporting requirements are cited as points of contention. Prime Minister Albanese will be absent from Canberra to address Ley's proposal, as he is scheduled to attend regional leaders summits in Malaysia and South Korea this sitting week. However, the government is widely expected to reject the coalition's offer. This anticipated rejection stems, in part, from Minister Watt's strategic decision to package the reforms as a single entity. This integrated approach was designed to circumvent a major criticism leveled against Tanya Plibersek's previous, unsuccessful attempts to reform the EPBC Act. Plibersek's phased strategy, which initially focused on establishing a federal Environment Protection Agency, EPA, was criticized for inadvertently delaying the fundamental task of overhauling the nature laws themselves. On Sunday, Minister Watt unveiled the proposed model for the EPA, confirming that ministerial decision-making powers on projects would be retained. This retention of authority is seen as a key demand met for both the coalition and industry stakeholders, and it has not drawn opposition from the Greens. However, this aspect has drawn criticism from the Australian Conservation Foundation, which had advocated for an independent agency operating at arm's length from government influence. The protracted debate over nature laws is unfolding against the backdrop of an intensifying internal conflict within the coalition regarding their commitment to net zero emissions. This internal struggle is poised to escalate as backbench members of parliament prepare to convene on Friday to deliberate on the party's official stance. The National Party, in particular, is conducting its own internal review of the climate target, a process co-led by prominent net zero proponent Matt Canavan. In a recent interview on ABC's Insiders program, Canavan refrained from confirming whether the National Party's review, widely anticipated to lead to an abandonment of the net zero policy, had concluded. He did, however, indicate that an update would be provided to his national colleagues. Notably, Barnaby Joyce is not expected to attend the upcoming briefing, following a public and acrimonious separation from the party he once led. Amidst ongoing speculation about a potential defection to One Nation, Joyce stated on Sunday that he remains a Nationals MP but will not participate in any party room meetings for the next fortnight. He explained his decision by stating, "I remain in the Nationals but will not be participating in any party room as it is not fair on the confidentiality of other members and senators." He further elaborated that the Nationals continued adherence to net zero as a policy is something he cannot be part of as it is merely a windfall gain for the super affluent few at the expense of others for no climate effect at all. Parallel to these environmental and climate policy debates, Monday's Senate agenda also includes a significant legislative item: the full establishment of a custodian to oversee the 000 emergency call system. This initiative, first recommended in the wake of the substantial Optus outage in 2023, was fast-tracked by the government following the catastrophic Optus network failure in September, an incident tragically linked to 3 deaths. The Greens communications spokesperson, Sarah Hanson-Young, has indicated that her party intends to propose amendments aimed at increasing penalties for telecommunications companies and introducing the possibility of criminal sanctions. Echoing these concerns, the Shadow Communications spokesperson, Melissa McIntosh, announced that the opposition would reintroduce amendments in the Senate to double the maximum fine for 000 outages to $20 million. This proposal had previously failed to pass in the Labor-controlled lower house. A government spokesperson, addressing these developments, conveyed that our priority is strengthening the 000 system, which is what this bill will do. They added, "We will work constructively with the crossbench on the 2 bills currently before the Parliament to ensure telcos are held to account." The convergence of these legislative battles, from environmental protection to critical infrastructure oversight, highlights a period of intense parliamentary scrutiny and debate across a range of crucial national issues.